Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Gender Medicine, the groundbreaking new science of gender and sex-related diagnosis and treatment, by Marek Glezerman, M.D., narrated by Christopher Solimene. Forward. Find the differences. Amos Oz. Hannah, the protagonist of the novel My Michael, 1968, tells us that her late father used to talk about men and women as if the very existence of the two distinct sexes was a disorder which multiplied agony in the world, a disorder whose results people must do everything in their power to mitigate. How wrong he was, that old man! For is it not true that the very existence of two sexes that are so different is one of the most amazing gifts we have been granted, along with life itself, along with the joy of love and of parenting, along with the joy of creativity? Yet generations upon generations of doctors, according to Marek Glezerman in his fascinating and innovative book, have disregarded this difference. Or to be more precise, generations upon generations of doctors saw women as nothing more than another type of men, perhaps a slightly defective form of men, or a weaker form, but except for the matter of childbirth, basically identical to the original. Over time, and in many places, even up to the present day, girls and women are treated using the same methods and the same medications, and even the same dosages of medications as those used to treat men. The results are often damaging and sometimes even disastrous. This, Glezerman tells us, stems from the fact that over the years researchers and pharmaceutical companies tested new medications mainly on men, for among other things because the male body is not subject to the variations of the monthly menstrual period, thus making the experiments simpler and less expensive. All this may be connected to a major trend in contemporary society, which Glezerman does not touch upon in his book. I am referring to the fashionable tendency calling for modern women to dress like men, to adopt male mannerisms and habits, to become assimilated, at least to some extent, into a world shaped by men as a covert yet decisive condition for gaining status as an individual with equal rights in society and in one's place of employment. The revolutionary concept of gender medicine, of which Glezerman is one of the proponents, pioneers and leaders in Israel and worldwide, stems in fact from the notion of human equality in its deepest sense, and not its popular meaning. True equality between people does not mean that we are all the same. Indeed, the opposite is the case. True equality means the equal right of each individual to be different, the equal right of each group to be different, the equal right of each gender to be different. Glezerman's book is not written for researchers and scholars, though it is recommended listening for them as well. It is written for curious listeners who love surprises and clarifying insights, listeners who take pleasure in discovering new and provocative things about themselves, other people, and the world around them. Marek Glezerman, like many other doctors before him, like Dr. Chekhov and Dr. Arthur Conan Doyle, knows how to tell an exciting story, a story full of surprises, full of ups and downs, a story whose heroes include strong and opinionated women who know how to communicate well, and men who are strong to some extent, and who learned many important things throughout evolution, though regarding how to communicate they would often do better learning from women. Perhaps first and foremost, before all the many insights this book provides us regarding men and women and regarding gender medicine, this book offers us profound discoveries regarding the links between body and soul, between disease and emotions, between pain and our ability to express pain, between the brain situated in our head and the opinionated and sophisticated second brain located in our digestive system. Isn't it true that we've always known that sometimes our thoughts come from our heads and sometimes from our guts? Glezerman's book confirms that this is indeed the case. Often our gut thinks without any involvement from our head, and even without our being aware of it. Today, right before our eyes, we see how practically an entire nation, including its leaders, think directly from the gut, and only the gut. The book presents fascinating examples of the differences between the female brain and the male brain, differences that were shaped while we were still in our mother's womb. Similarly, our sexual preferences also derive partially from the time we were in the womb. Another chapter is firmly grounded in the new gender medicine, though its contents are indirectly yet clearly related to the works of Shakespeare and Virginia Woolf, Agnon, and Dalia Ravikovich. This is the chapter on the gender aspects of pain. Who is more sensitive to pain, men or women? What are the types of pain that women are more sensitive to than men? During which periods of their lives? The chapter also includes discussions that rock the foundations of existing conventions and shatter prejudices, even those of doctors, regarding the gender aspects of heart diseases and diseases of the reproductive system and the digestive system, and even the gender aspects of our life before birth, life as it develops in the womb. The book also contains one sensational tidbit: the well-established and conclusive medical determination that men are in fact the weaker sex in the evolutionary kingdom. The male chromosome is undergoing a process of deterioration, and it is more likely that men will totally disappear from the face of the earth within around 200,000 years. We believe that this should force the United Nations into an urgent declaration that men are an endangered species, though perhaps this is the case for the entire human race if we base our judgment on what we see on television. All this science is described in gender medicine, in clear and fluent language, with humor, with a fascinating narrative style that causes the listener, at least this one, to longingly remember that good old-fashioned family physician, the family doctor from generations past, who had the time to talk to patients while treating them, to explain things in everyday language, to tell stories, to ponder out loud, to bring up fascinating memories and insights relying on fountains of wisdom and life experience. Yet not only does the doctor talking to us here in this book bring up memories, but rather and mainly he tells us a new and revolutionary story about ourselves, a story that overturns many firmly established and ancient medical conventions and exposes us to new and provocative observations. And not only those about our own body, and not only those regarding medicine in the future, much more than that. He spreads before us entirely new ways of looking at things from the social and cultural perspective, and even from the political perspective. The subtitle of the Hebrew version of this provocative book is Toward the Obvious, and rightly so. It has always been the case in science, and sometimes even outside of science, that what was unbelievable yesterday has become a matter of curiosity, challenge, and controversy before turning into what is obvious tomorrow. I read this book almost like I would read a thriller. And like what often happens with thrillers, when I reached the end, I said to myself, I really knew this all along. The expression gender medicine is new, but the inner intuitive knowledge that there are a few things in this world that differentiate men from women is of course ancient, as old as humanity itself. Now with the emergence of gender medicine and the publication of this fluent and articulate book, what we always felt and always assumed and always speculated has finally become obvious. Author's Note: This book is for anyone who is curious to learn more about the wonders of the human body. It is based on a lecture series I gave
Sample complete. Ready to continue?